One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
We have two special guests here today from Charles River Analytics. They created solar. Would you guys like to introduce yourselves?
Yeah, my name is Rob Hyland. I'm the Director of Program Transition from Charles River Analytics. And my job is to take new cutting-edge technology and get it into the hands of end users.
I'm Susan Latiff. I'm a scientist at Charles River, also product lead for solar. My job as a scientist is to talk to the users and find out what they need, where they're struggling, what they're excited about, and then help translate those needs so that our amazing engineers can put it into things like this.
Yeah, and I definitely had a lot of fun experiencing with the AR and the VR components of this. It's been really cool to just experience the software, see how it's grown. I know you've been talking with i5 for a little over 2 years now trying to get this together.
That's right, Zach and JR.
Yeah, the founders, right?
Yep.
It's really cool to finally see this come into play, especially now that this has expanded, i5 has grown. A lot of cadets will want to get their hands on this and experience it, especially if they're, of course, interested in space, which is what this whole software is about. So
yeah, John, where it comes from is from a DARPA research project called Hallmark. And what that was about is space, battle management, and command and control. So this is your operations floor, and we did 18 experiments iterating on technology. And Charles River is about intelligent systems in one shape, form, or another, with a specialty of AI, but also visualizing things so people get the concepts.
Yeah.
What you have right now is for training and education, but it also goes to the operation.
Oh yeah, 100%. I personally, I kind of want to know your opinions about which one do you think, because I know they both have the same, software,
Ask us to pick our favorite kit.
Yeah, so I know it works on more than just these. I know this is Magic Leap, and then this is the Oculus, but I know it works on the HoloLens and some other AR and VR headsets.
That's correct. So let me comment on that a little bit. So first, for folks that aren't familiar with what augmented reality is versus virtual reality, those are the two main segments, and I'll talk about a third thing. Augmented reality is this set right here. This is the hotness, the new Magic Leap 2 that came out even after you acquired this. So we ported this, thanks to our great engineers, to the Magic Leap 2. And you can see the room, and you can walk around the room. But the con of that is that it's going to be a little bit more washed out, and you have a limited field of view. This is the MetaQuest 2, also a capability, a model that was not out when you first ordered it. And this, you're locked in. So you're basically fully immersed. And the pro is that you can have a much greater field of view. And when you get out of it, you're like, whoa, I was just in space. The con is you start bumping into things.
Right.
Or punching your screen.
Or punching your screen and so forth. So both of these, this used to have to be tethered. And so the computer was doing the computing, and they put all of the computing now in here, but it's heavy on your set. This one, and Apple's probably going to go this route as well, has a compute module, and you just clip that, and you control it either with hand gestures or with this controller.
Yeah, and then this one's got this kind of cool controller that I've seen before. And then I know also can't you use like the haptic gloves as well for this, or?
Sure. One of the things Charles River does is not really wedded to any one AR, VR technology, but we have to work across the layer.
Yeah. So this summer we have Azimuth. It'll be the second time that we've actually conducted it here at the Air Force Academy. It's a lot more expansive now. There's going to be a lot more ROTC cadets coming in, and we know you guys are going to be involved with it. So can you guys explain to us what your role is going to be throughout the Azimuth space program?
Yeah, I'll say a couple things and pass it to Susan. So Azimuth has some unique things. It has 3 immersive pillars to experiencing the space domain. One is a parabolic flight, right? You get to feel weightlessness. 2 is that underwater scuba. And 3 is the immersion through the virtual and augmented reality. And one of the really interesting things is space is the first all-digital force, right? Your sailor can get in the ship, your soldier can get in the tank, your pilot will get in the plane, but But guardians are going to be operating virtually.
Right.
And so this immersion is a really key part. And we did this last year.
Yeah, we were here. I think your first azimuth was last year.
Yes.
So we came out and supported that. We got to learn a bunch from you guys, make improvements for what we delivered to you this week.
Right.
But what we heard a lot of, and for me as a scientist, what was exciting was some of the students who had been, doing the equations on the board. They took us to the classroom and showed us how the board just goes all the way around. One of them said, "This is what it is," and I didn't understand until I saw it. So getting to experience the math, experience the physics,
right,
and see it. We were speaking to someone yesterday who said that had been in operations and had controlled one of these satellites and said, "I worked this and I couldn't visualize it the way you guys are showing it to me."
Yeah.
I mean, they obviously knew
Right.
very well what they were doing, but it just gives a whole nother meaning for those button presses and those physics and all those equations you spend so much time learning to see it.
And I'll comment on the person we were talking to was Colonel Dutcher, right? And so he is taking over as the
Delta
lead,
13 commander,
the
yep.
whole Delta 13, which is about education.
All space education.
And that was a great comment. He knew all the pieces and so forth, but when he clicked on it, he had that observation. And so the students are getting that same type of experience.
Yeah. I know the past 3 days, a lot of the cadets have been enjoying this a ton. I was able to try it out this morning, and just the amount of information you can know about it, the different orbits, you can see where the satellites are exactly. You can point at them, and it was super easy to just choose exactly which one you wanted, see which ones was like close by, and the specific manufacturer of that satellite. You could fast forward the Earth, go backwards, add the ISS from your cool like panel of all those different types of things you could add. It was so much fun. I could spend hours on this thing.
One of the objectives is to deepen the learning, right? So space is a very complex domain. It's an all digital force, so you have to experience it remotely, but also the concepts are very counterintuitive.
Yeah.
So having this hands-on, I think, if you can do 100 times more hands-on practice, those concepts are going to be more solid. One analogy is that you're teaching all these individual components. It's like a chess with the pieces of chess pieces on chessboard.
Yep.
And you kind of know what each one does, but you're not playing chess.
Right.
So this is focused in on ways to help the various departments across USAFA. And I-5 is a key part bringing this in, by the way.
Yeah.
But to help all the departments from the military strategic studies to astro class to what you're doing in debt. But to have them teach all those things so you have mastery over the components. But also, there's a fun thing we probably didn't demo to you, which is wargaming. And that's playing chess.
Yeah, I know our I-5 cyber team, we've developed some, of course, you just pull up a computer or you have something projected on a screen, but bringing in the different dimensions of reality, right, with these AR, VR headsets. How do you guys plan on expanding that? Like, I haven't really seen it now. I read a little bit about it in, like, the control manual, but how does that look like?
Why don't you talk about some of the expansions?
If you think about it, we kind of have two paths that aren't really separate. They overlap quite a bit. One of those is training and education, and then one of those is operations.
Right.
So it's hard to play chess without knowing what the chess pieces do. So we're approaching it from that way in terms of the education. For that, we were speaking earlier, before we come for azimuth, you'll want to load the update, because the updates that we're working on include visualizing cones that go from the satellite down, so you're able to see the ground trace on the Earth.
Oh, wow.
What's going through it. Some of the stuff you haven't played with yet, but we should show you, is the opposite, going from the Earth up. We're also adding an RF visualization feature. So I think the cyber group will be interested in that.
100%. Yeah.
And the other thing that we were playing with in the office the other day is a timeline search. So we went on to spacetrack.org, looked at some of the recent almost collision warnings, searched for the two RSOs that was between, narrowed the scene down just to that, went into the timeline feature, went to that almost collision, and we all just kind of like going through. So that's from the educational standpoint. We also just received a 2-year funding to look at bringing it into operations.
Yeah.
And so part of that is, how do you get this into the environment where operators are operating?
Right.
So that's a huge drive. And then some of the different things like weapons engagement zones,
Yep.
Vulnerability or covariance, things like that.
I'll just, mention a feature that came out of the Hallmark. There's a whole bunch of the AI components that can slot in there, such as the fuel and so forth. But one of the key things is you have to make decisions fairly quickly in space, just like any military domain. But it's so counterintuitive that you're trying to get your stakeholders and your leadership to understand it. They put this on and they see it and they can understand, here's what the situation is, sir. We've got to move from here. Do we have your concurrence? And then we can go forward. So
yeah,
you
have 10 seconds to explain it.
Yeah.
Point and slide and
Right.
slide and slide, or here, sir.
Boom. It's the ease of access is amazing about this. Like, I thought it was going to be super complex, but you put it on, you load it up, it's really straightforward. Anyone could really use this and understand it pretty fast.
One thing that I didn't tell you about, I can't believe I missed it, was so Rob was talking about the orbital elements and the ability to war game. One of my favorite things to do is select 2 satellites and adjust the elements until one satellite catches up to the other.
She's making the collisions,
Yeah,
the
so
conjunctions.
I'm wargaming sort of with myself, but one of the key requests that we've gotten and that we're finally able to address is being, you put it on in your environment, you have to take it off and put it onto another person's head. We're setting it up so that you guys can both be in the environment at the same time. So you can chase so-and-so satellite. And like my dream as we're talking and as I've learned more about the I-5 and how big and expansive it is if you could put it on and war game with people.
That'd be fun.
So other attachments for I-5.
Yeah, we have 54 different I-5 squadrons. We've grown a ton. A lot of them would be definitely interested in this. So
some of them probably have this at home.
Oh, 100%. So then you would just have to load on the software, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, and I'm assuming you guys are going to continuously improve this software over time. Is there anything else you guys are working on, though, or is solar like your kind of main thing with Charles River Analytics?
Oh man.
No. I'll be very brief. But Charles River Analytics is a very expansive portfolio.
Yeah.
We have over 100 research projects going on for a small business of less than 200.
Dang.
I've been doing AI research my whole career since 1995.
Wow.
And so I'm really in the thick of things, and Charles River is one of the exemplars. So you might have heard of ChatGPT.
Oh yeah, a little bit.
We definitely understand that, and all I have to say is there are interesting AI opportunities. And DARPA particularly is actually funding, they know the limits of the current technology with the statistical approach. So they're actually looking at AI next. So these are things like artificial social intelligence for successful teams.
Right.
So how does AI be socially aware? A really hard problem is causality or novelty. And one is to play a game and then they change the rules of the game. Can the AI adapt? And then we also have autonomy, and we have autonomy in space, mainly in AI actually predicting unexpected maneuvers. We have AI in the air, fly a lot of UAVs and so forth.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of maritime domains. So we have AI autonomy on the surface of the water, which is cool. A lot of the wind farms, it's actually mammal detection. We got the pinnipeds. Those are seals and walruses and whatnot, in addition to whales. So you kind of seeing what's at the surface, so you don't affect the maritime mammals. And then of course there's underwater UUVs. We have a whole facility down in Rhode Island.
Oh wow!
We launch UUVs. It just goes out there, and people can buy slots and put their AI on or a card on there and see how their stuff does.
Dang.
So that's just a sample. Oh, and I have to mention another key part is training and education.
Oh, right.
So we have a training technology section for adaptive intelligent training, and this is actually one of the gemstones of that, where you're able to visualize new things, but we also have AI that's able to adjust and basically knows what you need, and that's Quinn.
And I'll jump in. So we have different groups, but clearly we it just kind of divides the goals, but we all work together really closely. I'm in the UX innovation group, and so all these amazing things that are built, people have to be able to use them, and it has to be easy. You don't want to spend a lot of time learning to use the tools that are being made. So I focus a lot on the AR and the VR, but our group works closely with Rob's group and the robotics group to figure out what the users want, turn those into requirements, and then as they make the amazing stuff, how is it going to be used?
Yeah, and there's AI as an agent that works, and so is decision support.
Yeah.
So how do you actually get this in where the AI is not a very sort of out there and you have to type it, but it's in your workflow?
Yeah, it's the amount that you can do with this type of technology is insane. I think I can't even fully imagine what you guys are going to come up with over at Charles River. Like, personally, I think it'd be cool if maybe in the future, who knows, it depends when we go to Mars, but having a way to mission plan Mars just with these headsets on, in an operation room.
Yeah, I like that.
Who knows what's going to happen?
From your perspective, like, what makes it so easy, do you think?
This technology?
Yeah.
Well, one, I really like the controllers. I think with the haptic gloves, it'd be even easier. I just never used it before, but when I put it on, it's just, you see everything around you. It's not like when you're on a computer on a flat screen where you have to be like, all right, I got to figure out first how to move it around 2D to 3D. Got to type things in here and there. It's like, no, it's almost like second nature when you just point, boom, boom, I want to add that there. It reminds me of like those Iron Man scenes where he's putting his suit together and stuff. Like, I think that's really cool.
And you move your body. Like, if you just want to see something, you walk around the earth.
I'm sure when like you guys were like growing up, well, I guess you were still adults, but when the phones came out, so you're like, wow, this is cool moving this around. This is like almost like that to like my generation. And it's like, in 20 or 30 years, this stuff's going to be, maybe we have it on in like classes this small, and that's a part of our life.
That's exactly right. And John, I'm excited to see what i5 does with this, and then of course across your whole network, because you all are going to think of innovations and drive innovations, and this is going to be a little bulky right now, but you're right. At some point, it's going to be in your glasses, and so you're really
contact lenses.
Oh, that'd be insane.
Colonel Drutcher actually said the i5 is a force multiplier for the Space Force, and on the education training side especially. So what you're doing and embracing technology, the new stuff, to really understand what the space domain is about. And it's hard to get your head around it.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm really impressed with that. So keep doing that work.
Yeah, this is crazy. It blows my mind right now, especially just being a freshman, just knowing what is possible with like just learning a lot about engineering, artificial intelligence, and figuring out how to build off of what people have done in the past and create the future.
That's what Zach said. He's like, it does all that? I'm like, yeah, there's more, but this is all what it does. Right. He just wanted the AR part.
Yeah, even as a senior, you're still interested in all these crazy things, right?
I'll jump on what Rob said. I know we need to wrap up, but I was so impressed to like see how i5 is running, that it's, you refer to us as adults, but that it's the cadets, doing it, and it's the cadets that got it here.
Yeah.
So congratulations.
Yeah, well,
excellent work.
We appreciate you guys coming and joining us, showing all this cool stuff to us. We plan on working with you guys in the future more, especially getting this out to different squadrons around the nation, get everyone involved.
We're right in Boston, Charles River, so you got some detachments there.
Boom, right there. We got some of those big name schools around there that would probably love to get a look at this stuff.
But we haven't connected with the detachments, and we can go across the United States. So that's great.